Welcome to another episode of Show and Tell Book Nook. I'm Chantelle,
And I'm Amber.
and today we are going to be talking about and ranking our favorite Ali Hazelwood books. This is going to be fun. This will probably also have to be adjusted once.
Not in Love comes out this summer.
Yes, exactly. Ali Hazelwood has 5 published books at this point and 3 novellas. We are obviously not going to include Not in Love simply because we haven't read that and it's not out yet, but we will, talk about our thoughts about that later. So let's start off with Amber. What is your least favorite book of Ali Hazelwood's?
I'm going to go with Love on the Brain. This one is NASA engineers that are rivals ish, with like some secret identity thrown in there. It felt like it had a lot going on.
It did.
So, B is our female main character in this one, and Levi is her male counterpart. B is given the opportunity to co-lead with Levi on a project at NASA, and stuff starts to go missing. The staff ignores her, and she feels like she's floundering in her career, and he becomes like an unwilling ally in her eyes. The not surprising thing about Ali Hazelwood is he was in love with her the whole time.
Obviously.
Obviously.
That's almost a requirement for her books. So my least favorite, it was tough. It was tough because I am not a fan of Love on the Brain. That one. So Love on the Brain was published in 2022. My least favorite Ali Hazelwood book was published in 2023, and that's actually Love Theoretically. I think it showed really great improvement in writing style, but I also felt like nothing really happened in the book, and that is why it's my least favorite. It stars Elsie and Jack, and Elsie has like this semi-fake dating gig, so she's fake dating his younger brother, and he doesn't know that until like halfway through the book, and then they start working together, or she's going out for a job within his company, and so she's interviewing around him, and he's trying to fight his feelings for her and then thinks that she's cheating on the brother. And ultimately it's like also a peek into what happens within the academic sphere of STEM. So it was an interesting peek, but I didn't think anything happened in it, and so because of that, it's not my favorite. What's your number 7?
We're going to go into the novellas for my number 7 choice. And I'm going to say it's the green one, Stuck With You. They're stuck in an elevator. He's impossibly tall. She's impossibly short. They're engineers working on
Eco-friendly stuff.
and the miscommunication, like it was if you just opened your mouth and talked, like, and it didn't even have to be about what you needed to talk about. You just needed to open your mouth and talk.
Yes. So another large aspect of this, because this is also my 7th book of hers, so we tied on this. They had a fantastic one night stand, really instant connection, all this stuff, and then they never hear from each other ever again until they get stuck in this elevator. I also didn't like this because, quintessential as this usually is, I don't even remember his name, was literally a cardboard cutout. He had no personality other than he was like Swedish or something of that nationality. And that was like his only defining characteristic the entire novella. So that would make me really mad because he could have added so much to the plot and just wasn't.
Well, and in fairness, I think it's because it's told from her point of view, and the female main character never gave him credit. Like, it felt like she was not willing to look past anything other than his physical and like professional aspects of his life. Everything else is non-existent.
Yeah, no, fair point. Number 6.
I'm gonna go with Under One Roof. They're environmental engineers that discover the scientists should never cohabitate when she finds herself stuck with the roommate from hell. And detestable big oil lawyer who won't leave the thermostat alone is the little snippet on the back, and I just couldn't get through that with a straight face. They end up having to live with each other because her mentor was his aunt and left the house to both of them when she passed away. And I liked the premise, but the execution in some aspects was what bothered me, like the sink scene. And if you read it, you know what I mean.
I would not put it at my number 6. That's probably like my number 5. It was going so well, and all of a sudden that happened, and I was like, what? Like completely out of left field. So I'll just actually already list that. That's my number 5. Yeah.
Okay. We have to know what your number 6 is, though.
My number 6 is Love on the Brain, which, yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we have similar tastes. We just have different rankings of them. Yeah.
We're pretty close, because I was going to say my number 5 is Love Theoretically. And for me, the downside on Love Theoretically was all of the references to Twilight. That's what bothered me. I felt like there was enough going on because of the look at how she had to work multiple jobs to be an adjunct professor and was applying for different things. Like, I felt like the academic aspect of it and the realism in that way was more entertaining. I just could have done with a lot less Twilight references.
Which, granted, it wasn't overtly Twilight. It was Twilight, but with a different title on it. Number 4.
This is really hard. I think I'm going to go with Below Zero as my number 4.
Okay.
NASA aerospace engineers who are stuck in the Arctic doing research, and there's a storm. Like, he has to go on a rescue mission for her.
Obviously, they have like chemistry because she actually interviewed him when she was like in her undergrad, because he works for NASA and he had her dream job, and he is cousins with one of her roommates, who's one of the other ones in the Novella series.
I do want to say, so when I read the novellas originally in the e-format before they were published in a book, and the bonus chapter or epilogues in the printed make it so much better, because they're all of the female main characters are tight-knit friends, and then you kind of get to see how they integrate into each other's lives once they started dating these males. And I loved that aspect of it. And I felt like if she had done more of that and like tied the stories together, it would have been so good.
We talked about how if it had been intermingled like American Royals is, it would have been phenomenal. Okay, my number 4 is Ali Hazelwood's most recent book, Bride.
Okay.
So it's a paranormal romance. Misery is a vampire. She is essentially a forced marriage to Lo, who's a werewolf, to try and bring peace to both of their species while solving different problems and finding her best friend, who's a human who has gone missing. I really liked it. I actually was blown away. I personally was very nervous going into Bride. I really did like it. Like, now we're getting to I really liked these books. The nodding aspect, though, had me cracking up every single time it was mentioned, brought up. So that is why it's my number 4, because I couldn't keep a straight face while I was reading those parts.
So it's my number 3.
And my number 3 is Below Zero. I really liked that one. I really wish it had been a full story. If it had been a full story, it probably would be actually my number 2. I genuinely love that romance. And Amber and I have very similar reading tastes, as you can see, that more or less our books are pretty identical. So this is going to determine if our number 1 and number 2 match up. Should we just do number 1 now?
Yeah, let's do our number 1 now. 1, 2, 3. Love Hypothesis.
All right, tell us what Love Hypothesis is about. This is also Ali Hazelwood's debut novel.
We are introduced to Olive and Adam, who are at Stanford. Olive is a third-year PhD candidate, and finds herself kissing Adam Carlson, who is a professor in the department, in the hallway randomly, and it sends them on a fake dating journey.
It is fantastic. There is a reason it went viral. There is a reason like it's extremely popular, and it's a really close tie for my first place. So 100% I get it because that book is what got a lot of people through COVID as well. Okay.
Tell us about your number one, Check and Mate.
Check and Mate is Ali Hazelwood's first and thus far only young adult novel. It came out in November of last year. We would classify it as a new adult. There are a little bit more slightly mature themes throughout the book than what is typically found in a YA book. But I loved it so much. It was fantastic. It highlights Mallory, who was a child prodigy chess player who quit when family problems happened. And it highlights Nolan, who is also a grandmaster champion, and they're both like 17 or 18. And Mallory one day decides to go and do this tournament, and she's kind of forced into it. She plays Nolan, who is like number one in the world, and beats him, and then kind of just disappears off the face of the planet. So he goes and chases her down and is like, you have to play with me, like you are good. And then she's struggling financially, so she decides to start playing, and they become rivals but also friends, because obviously in any Ali Hazelwood book he is completely obsessed with her. And it's her working through some personal stuff while playing chess and coming to terms with her feelings towards Nolan and the game. I read this book 3 times in the space of about 2 weeks.
It is so well done. And one of my favorite things is the depth of the characters in this one. Like, I love a book with emotionally damaged characters, and she actually gives both Nolan and Mallory backstory and depth in what they've had to face and experience in their young lives.
Even Bride, I would say, didn't have as much character depth and growth as Check and Mate showed in Ali Hazelwood's writing style. And Check and Mate and Bride kind of revived my love of Ali Hazelwood. That being said, I think both Amber and I, it's safe to say, are slightly hesitant about Not in Love.
Yeah, I think I will be so incredibly disappointed if we see a backslide in the writing and storytelling aspects of Ali Hazelwood's journey in the release of Not in Love, because she's worked on these other projects that have shown growth, and then it's returning back to the original content, right? And like, I think it's so funny because all of the first of her books all have love in the title, right? Love Hypothesis, Loath to Love You novellas, Love Theoretically, and Love on the Brain. But Not in Love is showing that clear similarity to the original books, and I'm afraid it's going to be a full return and go back onto what she's familiar with instead of continuing the progression that we saw.
Yeah. Especially, and again, these are our personal thoughts. So Not in Love tells the story of Rue and Eli. They're from different companies, and one of them is trying to buy out the other one. They have instant chemistry, and so they both decide to pursue a no strings attached secret forbidden romance until the day that one of the companies beats out the other one. And given that premise, it'll be interesting to see if she's able to continue the same depth and growth, or if this is going to follow the same cookie cutter pattern as her previous novels. So again, Not in Love comes out June 11th of 2024. So we will read it. We'll let you know our thoughts on it, whether we love it, whether we don't. Let us know in the comments your guys' favorite Ali Hazelwood book, or if there's kind of a similar style of book that you think we should read based off of our personal rankings, and we'll check it out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.